All right, here we go. John Salley, welcome back.
Vlad, my man.
You know, I wish that when we're meeting up these last couple times is to celebrate some sort of great story, some great piece of news.
Well, I gave you some Deuces 22 just now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I got some good weed.
You got it. You got it.
I got that. That's good. But the last two times we've met up, has been
sad.
In the face of tragedy.
Yeah.
2020 just sucks, man.
Started off crazy, right?
Yeah.
So but yo, we still here. I look at it just like that too. I'm just like, you gotta take your deep breaths, keep moving. I feel like an adult though. Sounds crazy, you know. With my now with my mom passing, it just feels like now, I'm the ancestor. I'm the OG.
You're the elder.
Yeah, I'm the elder. Like literally, I realized, yo, I'm an elder of some things.
Yeah, and I just want to say to all the people out there that are leading their companies, leading their families, leading their friends, who are going through it themselves but have to put on a strong face because everyone's looking at them to keep things together, who aren't panicking even though inside they're messed up. I just want to say I know how you feel and just stay strong and we're going to get through it together. But it's tough for people in our position. Yeah,
and this is a trip too. You know, I watch your show, not even when I'm on it, but I watch it. And, you know, I watch all the different angles people come through and realizing these are people. And everybody, every day is doing the best they can with what they have, period, right? I still do health coaching on the phone. Now I'm doing, you know, FaceTime stuff. And I have this massage therapist. And I looked at her skin. I was like, show me the apartment. She was like, no. And I was like, why? And she's like, ah. Anyway, my brain went boom. I said, just give me one. And sure, everything was a mess. I'm moving, I'm this and this and that. And I realized, and I said, until you clear your space, it's gonna be kind of hard to clear your brain because your brain is gonna be like, what am I doing? What am I sitting on? Why is this here? Do I need this? And so I was, over this time that they want us on lockdown, I've been purging, which is a trip because it's literally pick it up. Do I have a connection to it? If I don't have a connection to it, I'm not gonna use it later. I gotta stop saying that. I got things, and I opened up something and it was from like 19. When I saw 19 on it, I was like, yo.
It's over 20 years old.
Yo, this protein powder is never going to be used. You know, that kind of stuff. Like I got all this health stuff and I'm thinking, why did I keep it? Well, I like the packaging. My daughter was like, take a picture. Put it in your like packaging folder. And it's just that, like breaking things down and becoming more minimalist. And it's been a bad time, but a good time to like clear my brain.
Yeah, I think everyone should take advantage of this time they're spending at home to focus on the things that they haven't been able to focus on because they've been so busy.
Like home.
And been running around. Like home.
Yeah.
Like home. Their families, their close friends, their relationships, and really reevaluate where your life is going to head because this thing will work itself out sooner or later. And you will have to get back to your normal life. And do you want to spend this time complaining and being sad and just talking about how the world's going to end and how it's out of your control? Or do you want to spend this time improving yourself?
Especially if it's out of control. You know, it's funny. People are going buying more guns, more bullets. They really believe that they're going to be the ones fighting like The Walking Dead. Like people really think, oh, you're going to be on this side. Yeah. Dog, if the world is ending, it's ending. You just like you don't have anything to say about it being, you don't have anything to say about it ending. But the crazy thing is, I sent you that video of David Icke, and yes, I have been watching his conspiracy theorist videos since the 90s. 1992, the first time I think I seen one. And he talked about the way things are now, they're at this point. They're going to bring them back, but they're not going to bring them back to what it was. Like you just told me, you're putting up a video on how to wash your hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're in your 40s,
Mm-hmm.
learning how to wash your hands.
For the first time ever.
For the first time.
For the
Things
first
that
time ever, I'm learning how to wash my hands, and I'm so ashamed of
Right.
saying that.
Right. We joke when we see doctors do it.
Yeah.
And it's a trip because, I'm into all kind of businesses, but like the sanitizers and all that stuff, like was trying to get CVS and Walgreens, the, private label for them. And the amount that is being ordered is tremendous that people are looking for. There's one company trying to buy all of it, just trying to lock up this one place in Mexico that's making the sanitation. In Puerto Rico, when we had the hurricane, 2016, 2016, Puerto Rico made all of the IV bags. So there were doctors that didn't have IV bags. So I started just paying attention and seeing like, hey, do what you can with this time. Figure out what it is. Be safe anyway. I get on a plane, I got a mask on anyway, right? That comes up to here. People would see me and was like, I was on with David Justice. We were flying to Toronto one time, and he was like, I think I'm here with John Salley, but I think this terrorist may be robbing the plane, right? And I've always had it. And
Wait, you fly with a mask all the time?
I've always flew.
Really?
Yeah. The reason, this is crazy, and this is a good learning lesson. When I was on the Pistons, and Vinnie Johnson, right, didn't like that he didn't get playing time and had a couple of beers, and we were flying commercial at that time when I first got in the league. He was like, no sleeping. Nobody's sleeping. And you're dead tired. You're on the late flight. You're like, no sleeping. So, you're trying to act like you're talking. Next thing you know, I'm laid back, my mouth's open, and they put a piece of ice on my head. And all of a sudden, then it dripped down, and they were all laughing. I said, no sleeping, Rook. So back then, I would always cover up with a blanket. And then when I get on a plane, I would always get sick. Like if I flew to New York, flew back, I had a little sickness when I came home. So it had to be the fact that I was in this capsule for 5.5 hours. So I regulated. I had an ionizer and I had a cover. 2005. I've been flying like that ever since.
You never got sick after that?
I don't get sick on planes.
Wow.
And now I have, I didn't bring it. I have a mask that literally pulls over your head that covers like this. It just has this piece. It's camouflage. We laugh at it, but that's literally what they use when they go hunting. They put that on and they breathe through that. And I was like, man, we could have been doing this the whole time. I would go to China and see people doing it, and I knew it was like that because the air was bad. Also, they're respectful. If they felt they had a cold, they would cover their mouths. And they were around so many people, I just thought, great thing. I almost posted a picture of Michael Jackson with the black mask.
Yeah, Michael Jackson used to wear that all the time.
Yeah. And everybody said he's covering his nose. And I was going to post it and said, who's crazy now?
Right.
Like, he wasn't crazy then.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about the coronavirus, aka COVID-19, and the effect it had on the NBA.
Yeah.
So, Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz at one point was trolling the media by purposely touching all the mics and when he was talking about coronavirus and making jokes about it and so forth. And a day or two afterwards, at the start of the game, he was the first NBA player to test positive for coronavirus. That was the Utah Jazz versus the Pistons.
Right.
Your old team.
Mm-hmm.
And the game was shut down immediately.
Smart.
And later that day, it was announced that the NBA season was ending until further notice.
Correct.
When you heard that news, number one, in your lifetime, well, there was at one point there was the NBA lockout that happened.
Right.
You were playing during that time.
Yeah, I was on television.
Oh, you were on television during that time.
I was trying to get back into playing 1999.
Right.
And then, 1998, I was talking about it during the Super Bowl. I'd just gotten off NBC the summer before. So I was like, I'm going back to play. And I was like, I'm going to go play in Miami. Alonzo Mourning was like, nah, you ain't going to be able to deal with Pat Riley. Just didn't want me on the squad. But I love Alonzo, one of my favorite players. And then I got to Phil in 1999. After I watched that half season. I looked at Shaq and Kobe on the same squad, losing in the playoffs, and I called Phil Jackson and was like, I know you're not going to let this happen. And I guess I just called at the right time because he had just gotten the job without anyone knowing. So that was the closest of it being down, but everything else was up. Hockey was up. Mm-hmm. Baseball was starting. You didn't miss March Madness. The crazy thing is sports is such a huge part of the American psyche and society that this is like the first time since September 11th that anybody like stopped and thought about it. I remember one of the questions during September 11th though, which is not compared to this, they said, are they going to play football? That was a question 2 days after. Hey, there's a game on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And then it was a big thing when 2 weeks later they played. And everybody talks about the money. People realizing if you're unbelievable product, the players, right? Each player makes sometimes more than most small or medium companies. They're worth more than Fortune 500 companies. You got guys worth $250 million, $300.
Right.
Well,
let's slow down.
Well,
a Fortune 500 company is worth in the billions.
Okay,
but they are worth a lot, though.
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
LeBron is worth $2 billion, $3 billion.
Yeah,
Fortune not to himself.
The top 500 companies are in the tens of billions.
Okay, well, they are in the top 100 companies, right? And there's 432 of them. And these products can't get sick.
Yeah.
They can't get sick. So it was a smart move, and it was a good reset too. It was a reset for players' bodies. It was a reset to get back to being healthy. It was a reset to this is a game and this is a job. And remember that, telling the audience that too.
Yeah, I mean, I actually looked it up. There was 4 NBA lockouts throughout
the
history.
One in 99 is the last one. Right?
Yeah. Well, 2011 was the one that happened most recently.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wasn't playing.
Yeah, you weren't playing by that time.
Yeah.
How long was your lockout?
It started.
But the one you're talking about in 99.
The season started back in February, ended in May or June. So they had that whole time off from the year before, and they didn't play until February 99.
Okay. Mm-hmm. A little bit different than what we're seeing here.
Yeah, this is not even, it's not a lockout.
Yeah, this is unprecedented.
Right.
What's happening right now.
Guys are still getting paid.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah, guys are still getting their contracts, but the TV money, everything froze. So it just also goes to show you the government can freeze whatever they want. So they froze everything. So I'm wondering, you still got to make your car payment? Do you still have to make your mortgage payment?
Well, in terms of mortgage, the federal government, hold on a second, let me.
If you're at 75,000?
Yeah. Well, they announced this week that Housing and Urban Development is suspending all evictions and foreclosures. And what this means is there's twofold to this situation. Number one, public housing, the housing projects, Section 8, and so forth, those people can't be evicted. But on the flip side, HUD also offers a lot of loans to, in like lower income communities, communities that need to be upgraded and so forth. So you can get an HUD loan instead of a regular loan from the bank at usually a lower rate. Mm-hmm. And once you get that type of loan, you are now tied into the HUD policies as well. So all these apartment buildings across the country who have HUD loans can't evict people either. Mm. See what I'm saying? So it's not just applied to Section 8 housing projects. A lot of people will have their evictions frozen, which is great because you do not want a mass amount of people becoming homeless right now.
Right. And you don't want them on the street.
Yeah.
So imagine what we're also learning. We're also learning how to be compliant. We're also learning how to wash your hands. But literally they are controlling the complete civilization.
Mm-hmm.
Not just America. I know California is the largest state and they're on lockdown. Right now, you try to go into Trader Joe's, and
There's a line.
there's a line because only 10
they're
people
allowing
line
10
up.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know someone just went there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's they're gonna roll that back, but how far back? Are they gonna roll it back to like it was in January, or roll it back like it was week before last or last week? No, they're not.
Right. But that's only Trader Joe's. Other, you go to Albertsons or Erewhon, or those places are all open, regular. Some people are wearing gloves. I mean, all the employees are wearing gloves.
Yeah, the regular world doesn't have Air One, only here in California.
Yeah, it kind of hit me also because I was at Erewhon this morning, and for those that don't know, Erewhon is kind of like a Whole Foods on steroids.
Yeah, that's what. And they got a great immunity shot.
Everything
You
they
get
got,
sick,
they
go
got
get
it
your
all.
immunity
Yeah,
shot.
but it's really expensive. It's like twice the price of Whole Foods.
Hey,
right?
you get what you pay
But
for.
I remember I was in the deli section. And I said, can I try some of the kale salad? And they're like, we're no longer giving free samples. I'm like, oh, yep, there you go.
Right.
things are changing. Yeah.
Things happen September 11th, right? Take for granted. Getting to the airport. Yo, come on, let me on the flight. Come on, open the door, man. I ran all the way here. Okay, they would open the door. They can't do that now.
Nah.
Right? They can't do that. They can't open the door. Everybody is uptight still. Getting through TSA, you should be naked. They don't want you to travel with anything.
Just ass naked getting on the flight.
I had like a travel outfit, man. It had no metal on it. I wore the same sneakers. People were like, didn't you just have that on? I said, this is what I travel in. That's the smart way.
Well, let's just go into the NBA timeline real quick.
Right.
So we talked about how Rudy Gobert tested positive.
Right.
Then Donovan Mitchell of the Utah
The
Jazz
star of the team.
tested positive. Then the big man on the Pistons, Christian Wood, who defended Gobert in the game last Saturday, he tested positive.
Yeah.
Now, all these players are all solid, good players, but none of them I would consider to be just superstars, like bigger than the sport.
Well, Donovan is close. He's a superstar.
But he's not bigger than the sport.
Right.
Meaning that if you don't watch basketball, you probably don't know who he is.
Exactly.
But then Kevin Durant came back positive.
I know.
Kevin Durant is bigger than the sport.
As big. He has a name, you know it. Another guy, $400 million just for wearing sneakers.
Yeah. When he became coronavirus positive, how did you feel?
Well, when I saw Steph Curry, who had the flu,
Right.
work really hard at not coughing.
Did you see that like,
Yeah, he was like,
holding back the cough? It's like,
I am not coughing
I'm
today.
not coughing right now.
Well, Kevin Durant, man, the past year has had, operation, a trade, a Twitter war. Now you got a virus.
Now you got the coronavirus.
I just hope, and check it, man, your immune system is affected by your stress, also affected by being dehydrated. I believe in colonics. I believe in staying hydrated.
You believe in colonics?
Yeah, man, colonics are...
I've done it once.
Yeah.
I'm still a little weird from it.
For
For those that don't know, a colonic is when they put a tube in your butt and shoot water.
They don't shoot
through
water.
there.
They hydrate your large intestine.
Right,
Which
and then-
also allows
And you
fecal
start to
matter
basically dump out everything that was in there.
because
It's a very
the body
strange
will
feeling.
follow the river. So the more hydrate. Now, let me tell you, Dick Gregory didn't like that I said it. Dr. Sebi hate that I talked about it, these machines. But it's 2020.
Did you know Dr. Sebi?
Yeah.
Okay, talk about that later.
Yeah. Well, he cursed me out. He called me and cursed me out, and he hung up on me.
But let's talk about it now, because Dr. Sebi is one of these figures that I've always spoken out against.
Right.
Whereas my friend Nick Cannon is a huge
Yeah.
supporter of him, to the point of he's actually doing the official documentary on Dr. Sebi.
Still doing it?
He's still working on it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, these things take a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I remember this one time I went to his office, like Sebi's family was there. Like he's serious about it. If Nick says he's doing it, he's really going to do it.
Yeah.
But I've always had a problem with Dr. Sebi and some of the things that he's claimed.
Because he wasn't talking to you.
because I'm not of African descent.
Yeah. And it was and I can understand how you would feel left out.
No, it's not that I felt left out. I just felt like he's claiming that he can cure AIDS and cancer and everything through essentially food, and I'm not buying it.
That was not my problem with him, but the word to say I can, literally, if you do have that ability, you're a vessel of, and it shouldn't be I can cure. You can cure. You can reverse the effects of this in your system. His science is true, and the truth is, if you have least amount of mucus that you put in your body, nothing can hold on to it. Your body is going to develop certain mucus anyway. You got mucus membrane through your body, through your intestines as well. Women have it in the vaginal canals as well. It also helps the baby stay in. So there's certain mucus that your body develops that is important. But in hydrating your body, my difference with him is there was a lot of harsh things. Like he has a flower called a duck that they have down there that they, get this duck, they grind it up and you eat this duck, this flower. It has lips like a duck is why I call it. And you will vomit and defecate tremendously. It's a plant medicine. It also happens when you do ayahuasca if your body needs to purge and go to the bathroom. So I understand this, not understand all the plant medicine. I'm still studying it now. I'm on online course like in herbology because I was like, I'm just going to know it as opposed to just keep sending you places. I'm going to know it. And the reason I know that the more, when you hydrate yourself with a colonic, you killed 100% of the parasites in your large intestines from a colonic. You also hydrate yourself 100%. So now your body is hydrated. When somebody says, hey, I'm dehydrated, that means your lower intestines and large intestines are without water.
I remember at the time, because I was going through some health problems at that time that I did the colonic. And I went from like 215 pounds to 165 pounds. So, and I was around 20.
Vlad, they've been telling you, you're full of shit.
23 at the time. I was about, 23,
You're
24 at the time,
dog.
right? So imagine me, the way I look right now, because I'm an adult back then. Imagine me at 165 pounds. Imagine what that looks like.
High school weight.
Yeah. Sophomore in high school weight.
Right. I told my brother that. When I worked, my brother was 219, and he came to live with me for 6 months, and he went back 274. And he was like, yo, man, I look sick. And his ex-wife saw him and was like, what did you do? You look great. And he was like, what? I'm too skinny. She was like, you look the best I've ever seen you. The crazy thing is, so since high school, you get to 30 or 40, you think, man, back in when my high school days, you can get back to that look.
I agree.
Right. So, and the reason I said you're full of shit is and I, not the first one to use it, but I'm going to use a lot of it with my product we have called Better Belly. It's literally some horrible intestinal toxins. You're full of some horrible and seriously horrible intestinal toxins. And if you can give it a path, your body will look for everything else to give it moisture. If you're 80% water like you're supposed to be, this hydrates you. And like you said, you started losing all this fecal matter in your lower intestines and you lost weight because your body says, I'm going to dump. Okay. You did other things too.
Well, hold on a second. Let me give you some backstory on this.
Right.
The colonic came later. I started essentially, whenever I would go to the bathroom, I felt like some level of pain or discomfort. So I started seeing doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor. They gave me, they put, cameras inside of me. They, through my throat, through the other side. Couldn't find anything wrong with it. They told me I had irritable bowel syndrome. Right. Essentially, they told me not to eat wheat. They told me not to eat dairy. They told me not to eat this, that, and the third. After going through this for a couple of years and losing all that weight, one day I just woke up and said, I wonder if all this is really in my head. And once I realized that, all my health problems went away. I gained all my weight back. I was able to eat all the things they told me not to eat. And this was 20 years ago.
Okay. What
20 years ago.
What trauma that you might not want to make?
And I tried the colonic. That was one of the things that I tried during that time. That wasn't the reason for all the weight loss.
Go to my girl Deanie over here in Tarzana. I'm gonna hook you. I'm telling you.
You'll hook me up?
Dog, I promise
so you're asking about trauma?
Yeah. It had to be what trauma was happening during that time. Because usually your mind is here. Your brain is here.
I was graduating from college. I was starting my first job. I was living on my own. It wasn't really trauma.
Eating pizza every night?
No, not really. Not really. And something, I remember reading something that said that most stomach problems are based on someone not using the bathroom enough, not having bowel movements. When your body's telling you to have a bowel movement, you don't have a bowel movement. That's where a lot of the problems start. I'm like, okay, let me go to the bathroom every time I need a bowel movement. And literally everything just went away. Like all those problems went away. And I've been healthy ever since for 20-something years.
All the serious, harmful intestinal toxins were out of your body. This is the trip. I had my senior year in high school, I kept getting these back spasms. Well, I also grew from like 6'1" to 6'6", and I was growing like crazy.
Yeah.
So they were saying it was growing pains, and they said my psoas muscles and my stomach hadn't, grown. I was trying to work on my body, but it had to be more than that. And they took me over to Brooklyn College, and this guy is doing physical therapy, getting me to stretch, and he goes, "What do you eat every day?" And I was like, well, I get up, I eat a beef patty, I have 3 eggs, English muffin, cream cheese, orange juice. And he's like, okay. He said, then lunch, I said, I have a hero with thinly sliced turkey, light lettuce, tomatoes, oil and vinegar, mustard, mayonnaise. He said, then after, and I said, and then before practice, I get a bagel. And so he said, did you drink water today? And I was like, maybe during practice. And he was like, all right, don't eat tomorrow morning. Drink water. As soon as you get hungry again, drink water. In the afternoon, drink water. I said, man, I'm going to drink water all day. And I was peeing all day. Going to the bathroom later on the next day, I had no back spasms. So I realized it was my body trying to get the things to go through my intestines, which was causing my problems in the back. Also putting pressure on my kidneys, my liver, my gallbladder was crazy. My mother took my tonsils out, so that means all the poisons were going to be in my gallbladder. So I learned this and how to start taking care of your body. I was 19 years old, and I realized it was water. And so as much water as I can get into your body, either that way or you drinking. I drink distilled water. That Gregory said to me, what are you doing, man? You only do that when you're fasting. And I said, yeah, they use distilled water to clean machines. Yeah, when you're fasting, you're cleaning the machine. And I said, I'm constantly cleaning my machine. So like for the past year, I've been on distilled water. Usually when you see me walk in here, I walk in with water. I've already had half a gallon today. So there's no reason to bring it in. But I literally, when I tell you that, I even told this when I was talking to Doc about working with the Clippers. I was like, I think I need to change what y'all eat and drink. He goes, oh, look, we got this great facility. They don't drink in the morning. They can come here, eat, and drink, and get that, and have a. And I said, yeah, but then you practice. I said, if you have them eat, you can't practice for 2 hours after. No, just a little something in their stomach so they got energy. I said, that's not how the body works. It doesn't work that way. The body can do one thing at a time. If you eat, it goes down, it has to digest. It takes its time to digest. If you walk while it's doing that, then it will start using what it's digesting as fuel. They said, well, that's what I mean by eating. I said, yeah, but you're having them eat cholesterol. And I went down, man, Sal, they're not going to eat and live like you. Now people are starting to pay attention. The problem with the virus, right? Meat. They're saying eat less meat. I didn't make it up.
Wait, so you're saying that meat is tied to the coronavirus?
That's what the mass media is telling us. The mass media said that the coronavirus started in a meat market in China. That's what they're saying.
This is true.
They're saying that the cross-contamination of a wild animal and a domestic animal, which means animal, whether you got it, and somebody going out and passing on. They did it in contagion. That's exactly how these things pass through. And then once it becomes a human to human that's developed from that source, then you can't stop it because people are talking all the time.
Right, because dogs can get coronavirus also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
And
So
we know how people love to lick their dog's mouth. Nasty as hell. I'm an animal activist and I don't
me.
do that.
No, I do not do that. I will not tongue kiss my Rottweiler.
No.
Okay, so let's get back to the NBA real quick.
Yeah, man.
So when Kevin Durant tested positive, 3 other Brooklyn Nets tested positive as well.
Was he in contact with those Nets?
Not sure. They're not giving out a lot of information. But Kevin Durant was hanging out with Drake.
I saw that.
Like a few days before. So Drake is now in isolation
quarantine,
in his mansion in Toronto. Then Marcus Smart from the Celtics tested positive.
Like all the big stars.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the All-Star team.
Yeah. Then 2 players from the Lakers tested positive. They're not saying who.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I wonder why. I swear to God, I asked the question. I was like, they gave up all these other names, but we got to protect them.
Yeah, well, then the 76ers and the Nuggets, they had organization members who tested positive. They won't say whether they're players or just other staff members.
Maybe they're protecting them.
I think it's protecting. Like, you don't have to release publicly as long as you're going through the steps to see who they're coming in contact with. But some people wanted to step forward, the Goldberts and the Mitchells of the world, but other people just want to keep it to themselves and just let it pass. Because you know what's going to happen, right?
Right.
Is that even after you go through the quarantine period, people are going to act very funny around you knowing that you had the coronavirus. Like, is it really...
As soon as you said the word virus,
yeah,
it bothers people.
Yeah. Are you really, is it really over right now, or is it still lingering? Like, people are going to be very, very strange about it. And for people like you and I, who remember when AIDS first hit the scene, like all these 20-year-olds know HIV as a disease that you could take a pill for and you live your life like it's regular. Not so in the 80s.
No.
In the 80s, there was really a mass hysteria over this thing.
90s. 1990, 1991. When Magic said it, remember? Karl Malone didn't want to play against him.
Right,
Casey Green
right. When Magic Johnson, who announced that he was HIV positive, a lot of players are just said, I'm not going out on the court with him.
Nope. Then he played in the All-Star game. When the guys realized that was a dumb thing to say, he got All-Star. He won the All-Star. He could score whenever he wanted. Magic going to basket.
No one wanted to guard him.
It's so stupid, but
yeah.
And Magic has literally been the Statue of Liberty showing that he's living through HIV.
Right. In fact, he actually did a video on the NBA Instagram page, and with Magic being HIV positive, he's in the high risk group. Right. Especially, how old is Magic now? 50-something?
60. He's
60. So he is in a high risk group for age, as well as being having a weakened immune system that's weakened. And he's talking about, okay, this is what you should do. You should isolate yourself and so forth. But, sorry. Before Magic,
don't be coughing while we're doing this.
I know, right? I smoke weed. I have no.
That's a weed cough. I know.
That's
the
a weed cough. That's not a. People at work are like, did you ever see the chart where like people at work are like keeping track of other, co-workers' coughs? Like, Kiki had like 7 coughs today, and everyone wants to send Kiki home, and Bob is on the maybe list. He's had 3. Yeah. But before Magic came forward and said, I'm HIV positive, and this was 91,
October.
30 years ago almost. Before him was Eazy-E, where they announced that he was HIV positive, that he died like a couple weeks later.
Of pneumonia.
Yeah.
So to let people know that, they were saying that the HIV virus attacks and weakens your immune system, which is an autoimmune deficiency. And it weakens your immune system, so then you die from other things. So the people with this virus also at a high risk are the ones with questionable health and low immune systems.
Right.
Once again, what high is your immune system? drinking, and assimilation of water. That's a very important thing I said. If you're going ahead, and I know you're going to get hit with this, I'm not on the alkaline chain. You're not getting me on the alkaline chain unless it's alkaline naturally with carbon and hydrogen, Evian water. The rest of them are just purified water run through systems. That's not how you do it. Spring water, that's natural spring water. The only one that they've been able to buy, not the only one, but the one more accessible is Evian. There's some Italians waters that are great too. When your body assimilates it, that helps your immune system. Literally the only thing to help your immune system.
Yeah. The NBA is hoping to start the season again or continue the season in mid to late June. But that's just a pie in the sky estimate.
Well, think about that though. That time used to be, say, for baseball. That time usually was spent outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to be indoors, and because we realize the WNBA, if they were smart, they would play a WNBA game before an NBA game. If the NBA really wanted to boost and should pay more attention to female basketball, but that right there would be a great doubleheader. And the summertime is a great time for the athlete. None of them are going to be in the cold. You're never going to travel to play in a place that's cold. Everywhere in the summer in America is going to be hot. It's going to be the best time to see Westbrook's outfits. It's going to be the best time to see D Wade wears on television. It's going to be more of a relaxed situation. It might even be a better season.
Well, they're saying they're going to play the games without any fans.
I don't think so. I really think that this is going to dial back. I'm telling you, it's going to dial back. It's not going to get back to what it was, but it's going to dial back, and it's going to be fans letting the game.
Right, because originally LeBron said that he won't play without any fans. And then a few days later, he said, well, if this is what's required, I'm not going to, put my foot down and go against the league.
Which didn't make any sense. That whole thing not playing in front of the fans didn't make any sense.
Why is that?
Who was he defending?
What do you mean?
Who was he thinking about? So, well, I'm thinking about the fans. Well, then that's why you play.
The fans can watch on TV. A
Most
lot more people watch on TV.
Most of the fans are watching on television.
99% of the people are watching on TV.
And you play better. You play better when there's nobody in the stand. And I tell you this, you throw a
even
a
in
hoop
a home
up here,
in a hometown, like
you throw a hoop up right now and put mano a mano and some referees or no referees, you're going to have the All-Star game every night. The way they played in the All-Star game, they were playing like they were playing street ball. They was just as this them playing. When you play like that and you're not hearing anything and no one's calling your mother this and no one's doing that and guys are not talking, cheerleaders are not sitting down and none of that. Huh. And you're just playing basketball. You're kind of playing just to beat this guy in front of you. And the only support you have is truly the only support you ever have is your teammates.
Okay, but you don't think that playing for your hometown crowd and they're roaring for
winning for your hometown crowd is way more important than playing.
Right, but what I'm saying is when you played, because where'd you grow up again? You grew up in Brooklyn, right? But you never played for the Knicks.
No. I only played for teams that win, mostly.
It's funny. We just interviewed Amon Shumpert.
Oh yeah,
right?
That's my dog. Went to Georgia Tech. I love him.
Yeah, we just interviewed Amon Shumpert. Coach PR, one of our outside interviewers, did the interview for us, and he just talked about how when he played for the Knicks, they just booed him in the beginning. Constantly. They didn't want him. They were just booing him, and he would yell back, and he'd be like, when they started winning a little bit, he's like, yo, y'all didn't want me, and he was saying how he was like. Him and Carmelo he'd tell Carmelo, yeah, man, I'm supposed to be dead. They wanted to bury me. I wasn't even supposed to be drafted. It kind of drove him to be more aggressive and so forth. But yeah, getting booed by your own team,
it's the Knicks,
by your own fans in your own team.
And they're never going to win.
All I got to look at is me getting drafted, and I got my video of my family going crazy and like this emotion that came over me. And then I have this play it back on TV and actually hear what Knicks fans are doing. And they're like, boo, like, what? What the fuck? They're like, who is dog? What we on, bro? Like, we trying to win or we going?
At least they didn't cry like they did when they got KP though.
So I'm like, in my heart, I'm just like, bro, they have no clue. I'm the closest thing they got to what they really like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the closest thing. Who else gonna dunk it and then bump somebody on the way back and not get in trouble for it? Cause y'all like his charisma.
The attitude that we like, yeah.
I'm like, that's me. I'm the one that'll do the shit that y'all will get behind so much that y'all will give me the pass with the refs. If we in the Garden and Iman do that, you can't call it because they love it. Let them have it.
That's right.
You get what I'm saying? Like, it was some shit that me and JR, we probably shouldn't have got away with. But they the bad boys on the Knicks. They got to rock. This is what the people come to see. If we turn them off and they ain't playing good, that don't work for our league. Let them rock. JR want to do the extra celebration? Let him rock. That's what New York did for us.
You're never gonna win. They're just not. It's just, and everyone says why? I said because it's just not. The stars aren't with them, man. It's just not the place to be. And I love. My mom used to say to me before I played the Knicks, "Don't say hello to Patrick for me," because I had been playing with Patrick since I was 16. Okay. I get in the game and I hit him. I said, "My mom said hello." All right, Sal. And then he would post up wide. I was like, here we go. Your ass. Get out of 3 seconds. You know, it was just those Knicks, man. And I love when I played for Chicago. We beat them. I had a scary situation where I thought I was going to get punched in the mouth by Derek Harper. We were playing, and he was guarding Michael's ass so well. He was on him. It's in the playoffs, 1996. And I said, Mike, you got to run him off me. And he was like, what? I said, he's going to come down. He thinks I'm going to stop and turn, run him off me. He's going to try to stop you from going right. The rule is don't let you go right. Or Michael. So Michael comes down, he looks at me, and I turn around and I set a pick like this. And Derek Harper runs neck here and ribs here, and he hits the ground, and I'm standing over him. I said, sorry, Harp. He jumped up. I was like, sorry, Harp. He just looked at me. I was like, he's going to break my nose. Derek Harper's going to break my nose. You my man. I'm sorry. I had to pick you. And it was nothing illegal about it. He was like, I wasn't even thinking you were still doing that shit. So I said, I wasn't, man. You got to get off of money. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, in our interview with Iman Shumpert, what I found kind of interesting was when we asked Iman about whether Carmelo really gets the credit that he deserves as an all-time great. He said the one thing that people don't know about him is that as the team continued to lose year after year, he would take the credit away from everyone else and place it on himself.
Right.
Because he would say, they're going to fire the coach. They're not going to fire me. So he would take the heat for all their losses year after year in order to keep everyone else employed and keep everyone intact.
Off the court, he don't get enough credit. For somebody that can deal with noise, somebody that could withhold comments and just not hide behind their work, but let the work speak for them. And somebody that finally, when he does speak, doesn't lie. He won't lie. And he won't blame. And there's times that I literally have told him, bro, it's not my job to take food out another man's mouth. I'll take the blame.
Mm.
Even if it's coach's fault, they'll fire him. They ain't gonna fire me.
And look, he was this superstar playing on a team that just never won championships.
He was a bad mother on a bad team.
Yeah.
And I saw him at the Kobe Memorial, he, Lala, and his son. And people don't realize this is a New Yorker too. So to be in New York and go back.
He's from Baltimore.
Well,
Close to New York.
He's a New Yorker. Like Philly, they New Yorkers. They just cut their hair different. But just like, you know, he became part of that city, you know, smoking cigars and drinking wine with him. I just felt bad that he was in that situation. Because when they were coming out, LeBron and Carmelo, I said on the Best Damn Sports Show, I thought Carmelo should have been the #1 pick. And I had to apologize to LeBron on camera for that. And they are boys. He was like, I ain't worried about that. I go, oh, no, I think you are. I think you were worried about that. Especially when you're like 19 years old and you know, everybody's telling you this and there's one guy telling you otherwise. But Carmelo, to this day, like now, Carmelo is playing because he loves to play basketball. Mm-hmm. He'll come back around. It's going to be like the next thing, and he's doing it too. And I'm just a big fan of his. I'm a New Yorker, so I'm a Syracuse fan. So yeah, I was big.
Well, do you think this whole season could be scrapped?
Yeah, I think it would be a good thing for the player, for the players in general.
Right.
I think it would be the All-Star game. You don't get to relax. You're always on guard. You can't have any injury. And if you do, they're going to give you a pill. So that's going to weaken you and make you even worse. Then you're going to blow something out. Then you're going to feel bad. Teammates can't be around you. No one likes being around injured players. This is the one time their bodies get to relax.
Well, LeBron and AD are just on a roll right now. Mm-hmm. The momentum they're on right now that's going to just stop and potentially be scrapped is kind of unfortunate.
Unfortunate, but for LeBron and AD, they now, since they've been playing like this, mm-hmm. the players around them either get better or you can now start picking other things for the next season. And now you have better time to prepare. Now you still have the momentum and the will that Kobe left, but you now have a better time to literally mastermind your team.
Yeah, well, we're going to see what happens because outside of basketball, you know, head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Sean Payton, just tested positive for coronavirus. So now it's in football. First person in the NFL to have the coronavirus. It's going to start spreading to essentially every sport. I mean, there was already a bunch of like superstar soccer players, like in Europe, that were testing positive.
Vlad, last year, 26,000 people died from the flu.
Yeah.
The year before that was 28,000.
Yeah.
If they would have told us 2 years ago that this flu is killing people and 10,000 people would have died, it would have been crazy. Got to 20, it would have been whatever.
Yeah, I mean, Puffy's baby mother, Kim Porter, mm-hmm. died from the flu.
Yeah.
This was, what, a year or two? Like, what was
2 years ago.
2 years ago. I remember I was in the middle of an interview with one of her friends, Tamala Jones, the actress.
Great actress.
Yeah. When we broke the news and she was like, oh my God, like that's my friend. I went to her, you know, baby showers and everything. Like she just up and died from the flu. This was a healthy 40-something-year-old, mm-hmm. or maybe she was in her 50s, not that old. Had all the money in the world. Like Puffy was financially supporting her. She had the best medical access that she needed. And yeah, she just up and died from the flu.
Yeah, when I was first starting on Best Damn, one of my co-host members, DeMarcus Fire, sorry, D, son died in his mother's arms, 3.5 years old. A lot of kids are dying like that. So I'm only saying that, not saying that this COVID-19 is not important. I'm just telling you that from the flu alone, Dr. Drew and Dr. Oz both were like, hey, telling people you should get a flu shot. Like you're more chances.
I got a flu shot.
Right, you're more chances. I don't agree with a flu shot.
No, I got a flu shot. I talked to my doctor.
Right.
He said you should get a flu shot.
Right.
I haven't taken one in about 2 years. Last time I took one, I didn't get the flu that whole year.
Right. So the flu shot. So this is definitely, there's a lot of coronaviruses, right?
Yeah.
Just crown on top of the virus.
SARS is a coronavirus. Yeah.
So it is, they just went with the name. That's why they renamed it. So you can get out of the word corona. So with this mutated and this going from people to people. Remember, a lot of animals have viruses that we don't know about or we can't defend. I also put on my Instagram when they said the huge problem and the things that they're not mentioning now is at the point we are now, we're immune or none of the antibiotics that they're going to give you are doing anything to what's coming up now. So they have not figured out any antibiotic to go after this virus. And which is hard to go after viruses anyway, right?
You
it's
can't
not alive or it's
you
not
can't
dead.
attack viruses with antibiotics. You can only do a vaccine.
Right.
Or you could do a treatment, and they are trying
So
out
your
different
flu shot
treatments.
is a vaccine shot.
Exactly. And they're working
why
on
I
a
don't
vaccine. I mean,
do it.
listen, the whole world is working on a vaccine right now.
Why don't they just say flu vaccine?
Yeah,
Right?
basically.
They should say flu vaccine because what happens is people are more used to getting to that. The fact is that they didn't have a flu shot or a shot for this virus that, from what I hear, like the same way everybody else hears, is going to get worse and worse. But Apple is back up and working. And now there's people back in China back doing their regular stuff.
China announced yesterday that there was no new cases.
Right.
There was a few
they
cases
opened
of
back up a
people
factory.
coming from overseas, but there are no new cases. Now, before everyone accepts this, you have to understand there's no free speech in China. There's no free press in China. So that's the equivalent to me of Trump making an announcement without anyone questioning it.
There's no free speech in America.
There is free speech in America.
Where?
VladTV is free speech.
Okay.
CNN is free speech.
Vlad, if you were to put up something that they felt was against the United States government, YouTube would shut you down. And you're not free. If you felt that,
Well,
you wouldn't be free to say that.
right.
on that.
There is free speech, but you also, the classic example is you can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater,
Right.
right?
My Twitter got shut down, the John Salley, somehow.
For
There's
what?
no way of getting it. A video of how bad it was in Iran, how they were treating people in Iran. And I just saw it and I just said, wow. And I just also forwarded on my Twitter. My Twitter was shut down after that. I can't
Wow.
get into it.
Okay.
And I wasn't saying the United States government had anything to do with it. I said that the world isn't doing anything. So you're not free as you, and I told you, you're not as free as you think you are.
A lot more free than China. Let me tell you that. Let me tell you that because I've interviewed Chinese rappers and I've asked, and I said, listen, rap is a very revolutionary art form. Mm-hmm. It's about speaking out against the government, about speaking out against injustice. Same way as, like, let's say reggae and
rock and
dancehall
roll
and so forth.
John Lennon.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
People like him,
Rock
people
and
like
roll.
him, like rock and roll to a certain degree. Rap more so though. I think rap focuses more on social injustice.
Well, I think
than
the
other
social
art
injustice in hip hop, as Lord Jamar would say, why he would say somebody is a guest. The reason is because it comes out of the black experience.
Right.
So that's a different situation that they disguise in rock and roll. But I don't know if I said this on your show before. When I was in China, I was in a Lexus LS 600 roof, being driven, going to the dopest hotel I've been in the dopest restaurant, drinking $1,500 sake. And, it was this 5-star restaurant. Then we go to this club that they call the R&B club that was off the chain. And I'm walking through this area that they had looked like France. And I'm down on the Ban, which is down in the water in Shanghai. And I'm just around late at night. Like, there's no worry walking around late at night. And I'm like, yo, this is amazing. I go to another club up top, and I said, there's all these Europeans, tons of Russians. And I was like, huh. He said, in China, we know the government owns everything. In America, you're under the illusion that they don't.
Interesting.
And 2012, he has been 100% right.
Well, yeah, I remember I interviewed this one Chinese rapper, and I said, what would happen if you spoke out against the Chinese government in your lyrics? And he said, well, I wouldn't even think to say something like that. And then after the interview, they reached out to us and said, can you please take that part out?
After September 11th, we wouldn't say anything against the government. After September 11th,
You could say fuck Trump and not get arrested. Can't really say fuck the president of China
right.
and expect to just go on with your day.
After September 11th, man, you couldn't. They went from being the soldiers had a different look. They were back to the look they had in World War II. Wasn't losing faith in it. They believed September 11th happened. Everybody agreed that, and just let the government do whatever they wanted.
Like they're doing now.
We went to a war that we know shouldn't have gone into, proven shouldn't.
Iraq, yeah.
Right. And the proven fact, he was right. Every time I looked and they were going in, they were looking for plutonium. They were really looking for germ warfare. They were like, because if we allow that to go out, look what happens. Look what happened right now with germ warfare. It shut everything down.
There's a theory, and I'm not going to say there's any proof behind this theory, but I saw a post about it, that when you look at the world right now, every country outside of China, their stock market has dropped like 30%. China is actually back to where it was before. There's a theory that China manufactured this disease as a retaliation to the trade war. Just a theory. Just a theory.
And there's also a theory that the United States released it because it's in Iran and it's in China. And Iran has 55 billion drums of oil that we can't get to, but they had done the deals with Russia and China. So there's two different ways to look at it. Two very powerful.
There's an oil war happening right now between.
I'm on the American side.
Between Saudi Arabia and Russia,
which
is based on America. Yeah, I mean, it's
before
complicated.
They hit me up, I'm on the American side because I'm on this soil.
Yeah, I'm on America's side, everybody.
Right, I'm on this side. I understand that we're the lower ring out of the 1%, but it's freedom is choosing whose slave you want to be.
Well, Idris Elba tested positive.
Yeah, man.
And before he tested positive, Waka Flocka did an interview and said that black people can't get coronavirus. So Idris Elba had to speak on how stupid of a rumor that was.
Right.
That black people can't get it.
Who would get it the most? Which is amazing because they're saying they're not having, the World Health Organization said it's amazing that it's not rampant in Africa. And the one person in Nigeria that had it was an Italian visitor, right? So they were talking about that. So that was the idea that, we're immune. No. With the amount of food and sugar and bad food and plastic foods that they are feeding us, lower our immune system. The music lowers our immune system. The energy and the bickering lowers our immune system. The ability to watch television and look at somebody else and talk about them and get to that point, then get online and you're constantly lowering your vibration, which lowers your immune system. So who would be more susceptible to this would be black people.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see. Just because Africa doesn't have it rampant right now, because look what's happening with AIDS in Africa. It's really bad.
Well,
really
my
bad.
daughter had to go, she had to get inoculated because she's an American, meaning they had to give her antibodies to fight off things that natural Africans are dealing with.
Oh yeah, they used to call, like during colonial times, they used to call Africa the white man's graveyard. Because Europeans used to go over there and catch like malaria and die. In huge numbers. Huge numbers. Well, Tom Hanks also tested positive. That was the first.
Which was the trip.
Which was the first A-list celebrity.
Because he was really sick. during the Academy Awards. And he said he was really sick and he had to take a whole bunch of drugs just to make it to the show.
Huh. Okay.
He had said it then is when he...
so he's been sick for a while then.
Yeah, well, he just felt he had the flu. So the deal is he probably did have the flu, lowered his immune system, and while it's low, the virus comes in. That may be a situation. I don't know that much about Tom's situation, but I remember him being sick at the Academy Awards.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Right now, there is definitely an overall panic to it. People are freaked out and so forth. And I'm like, okay, wait till the first celebrity gets it. Then boom, Tom Hanks get it. And then the first black celebrity, A-list celebrity gets it, Idris Elba. But what's really going to create panic is when one of these celebrities dies from it. Because all these basketball players have it. If Kevin Durant dies, God forbid, it's going to go ballistic.
Yeah, if any one of them passed and they said it's related to this, then
people are going to freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
People are going to freak the fuck out. Then you got people like Carrie Hilson, who had a set of tweets that's saying that 5G cell phone service
I read that.
is causing the coronavirus.
I love her.
You know her?
Fine. Yeah, man. I sat with her on a flight one day.
Very pretty girl, but I don't know if she's the sharpest knife in the drawer for putting out something like that.
But you have to understand, the part of what she's saying is real. The reason I'm saying...
Come on now, man. I got to pull a Boosie on this. Come on now, man.
Come on, man.
Come on now.
This is why I say that. So to get away, I went up to Joshua Tree, way up in the high desert. And I need water. I'm a tropical being, but I went up there in the high desert and the sound was clear. To hear a plane was once every 2 hours, I think it was. The air was different. My senses different. But when you're in a city, you got noise pollution, you got people pollution, you got different smells, air conditioning to heat to carpet. You got cell phones in every situation, everything radiating radiation. So if you're constantly, radiation also lowers your immune system. That's why when you get radiation and you're sick with cancer, it kills everything inside you and hopeful that your flora in your system kicks back in and rebuilds. It's an atom bomb constantly as they put radiation inside your body or they target it to an area. So part of what she's saying is partly true. And they're going to keep connecting the dots, right? They're going to have these...
I don't know about that.
Keep connect. Yeah, well...
I don't know about that one.
Well...
I'm not going to co-sign 5G cell phone service.
I tell you this.
And
when that 5G hits, if they say, if they really wanted to test, pick a city in America and light it up like you did, not just stadiums, because it's in every stadium. That's another thing, let me explain to you. Every single stadium is hooked up with 5G now. Verizon is in every single stadium. So they went to those big places because mass amount of people come to them and their phones will work. So they can tweet during the game, they're not being blocked. Hit one city and then let's test. If they want to test on human beings, let's see what happens. If it tests that more people get sick, then her theory is correct. But what city are you willing to test on humans?
Right. Well,
who do you think we are? China?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they're testing on humans over there. I'm sure that places like North Korea are pumping any type of drug they just came up with the day before into humans right now to see if it makes it.
What do you think about Bill Gates stepping down for Microsoft?
For the board of directors?
Just to focus on philanthropy. And he comes out in 2016 with pandemic. Puts it out and he goes, I'm just going to focus on this. And now he steps down last week.
Yeah. Well, he had stepped down from the CEO a long time ago, but he just stepped down from the board of directors last week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why?
I guess to focus on this.
Yeah, he must have known something because 4 years ago, not only did they forecast it, they had pictures of it, they had a narrative to go with it, and they filmed it. So if 4 years ago, he was 4 years ahead of the game, we need to watch what he's doing.
Oh, yeah. No, Bill, I mean, he talked about it. He said that this could be fixed in, I think, 10 to 12 weeks if countries really buckle down and focus on it. It doesn't have to go on for months and months, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. I definitely look at Bill as someone who is
right,
a lot better connected.
Yeah, he's connected.
A lot better connected and has a lot better information than the rest
he's
of
the
us.
1% that talks.
He's the richest man, second richest man in the world, next to next to Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, well, it's funny how they do that, right?
Yeah.
But then there's families that they'll never get even close to the money.
Right.
Families.
The Rothschilds and so forth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. The Rockefellers.
Rockefellers.
Hey, you know what I like? I like the Gettys. I like the museum.
Yeah.
I tell my daughters, I tell you that if there's anything that was going to go really crazy and things start going, get to the Getty. I will, not the Greek. Don't go to the Greek theater. I ain't going to be there. Get to the Getty. That is the most secure place in Los Angeles. Period.
Well, the stock market crashed.
Yeah.
Which, as someone who has a lot of his money in the stock market, it was definitely a aggravating time. I started investing around 10 years ago after the last crash.
Right.
So I had never experienced a crash while I was invested in the stock market. The last crash didn't really affect me like this has. So as I'm watching this 30% drop and you're seeing tons and tons of money leave your account on paper, not in reality yet, just on paper.
Not your principal.
Yeah. You really, I definitely was going through should I just sell everything and go into cash right now? Because
I sold a lot.
You sold a lot?
In January. What month are we in?
March.
February.
Okay.
I sold a lot of shares. And I, last week, opted out. So I was supposed to get a big check. And they're not answering the phone. Well, the lawyer didn't get back. I was like, hey, my man, I got it all written down. We came up with it. This is a legal contract.
Yeah.
To get out of this one company. So I cashed in my shares. I'm in the cannabis business with my daughter. I'm in the vegan food business. I'm about to start doing a show that's entirely different than yours, but it's literally, like I told you, you motivated me to do it. I didn't want to be in front of the camera anymore that much, and then I started doing your show. And I, as you realize, everyone hit me up. I go, no. They go, man, you did Vlad. I go, yeah, I kind of only want to do that.
I love when I have guests on my show and it turns into other projects.
Yeah, well, it comes, but because my daughter kept saying, yo, you should, your hand washing thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing a new show. I'm doing Mr. Rogers for adults.
Okay.
But it's me.
Okay.
You see when I walk in my house, I kick off my shoes. I do that since 1995. I got to Canada. I'm walking in and they be like, hey, man. Don't bring it outside throughout my whole house. So I kicked my shoes off. I learned it that way. Then there was places, nicer houses, you kick your shoes off and they had house shoes for you. Mm-hmm. Then we start seeing rap music and shit. You wear house shoes out on the outside, you know what I'm saying? But house shoes are for the house. I talk about that bathroom that's right at the door. It's so you can run in and pee, but it's really so you can run in and wash your hands.
Okay.
So you should wash your hands, and once you wash your hands, you should then wash your face. And you should dry off with paper towel.
Yeah, instead of regular towels. Yeah, I do that also.
Drop it. And it's funny because the scene from Pulp Fiction with Samuel Jackson and John Travolta, when they're in Quentin Tarantino's house and they wash their hands and then they wash on the towel, and he goes, man, wash your hands. He goes, I did. He goes, obviously you didn't wash your hands because all the stuff is on the towels. If you would have washed your hands, you would have just dried your hands and nothing would have come off. People wash their hands slowly. They put water on them. They put soap around here. They look at themselves. They rinse it under cold water. And next thing you know, you go to wash it and it's all the stuff that was supposed to be in the sink is there.
Yeah.
I talk about food. People come in and take their packages that they had in the store, that they had on the floor, that they had in the cart, and they put it on the counter. You don't do that.
Yeah, I talked to someone I know this guy named Seven. He's actually Nick Cannon's bodyguard, but he also has this long military history. Like he's the guy that goes in to disarm bombs and all this other crazy shit. And he told me something interesting. He said, number one, wear gloves as opposed to face masks, because there's a much bigger chance of you transmitting something with your hands into your body as opposed to someone spitting on you or whatever and it going into your mouth. Right. But he said something else, which I haven't verified or anything else like that. But he said we saw a huge jump in the flu when a lot of these stores, like in California, started charging for paper bags and started insisting that you bring your own bags from home. And he said that all these people that started bringing their bags from home and would put their bags in that area where everyone would be kind of putting their food as they're paying for it, that started to spread viruses at a crazy level. He said the number of flu infections jumped up dramatically once they changed that law.
Yeah. One, I'm glad they changed it on plastic because people are irresponsible with plastic. And I also posted the new plastic that you can use that breaks down in water.
Ah, nice.
Problem is where you put the water after. They would put it down the drain. I was like, no, you're adding to the problem. So I'm one of those guys that believe in bringing your own bags. But what
do you see what I'm talking about?
But
though?
what I said,
you're bringing the germs from your house.
Don't bring outside into the house.
Yeah.
So I believe in GSE, grapefruit seed extract. You can get it from Whole Foods. You got a little burgundy top. I clean counters with it. I literally gargle with it and then swallow it, and it kills all microbes immediately out of Australia. When they start talking about black seed, I've been doing black seeds in 7-8 years now. But I constantly was doing things that I was thinking, I don't really like putting oil in my body, but I was constantly thinking of things that would help me out. How can my body break it down and work to it? And in doing this show, I was thinking, how am I going to explain how not to be nasty? The best way of explaining it. Like I literally say, hey, take the GSE, put it in this bowl. When you take your vegetables out, you fill that whole thing up, you sink, and you soak them. That way it soaks off anything that was traveled in it, anything that came along. You clean it out before you go in your refrigerator. That whole mentality when you walk out, you walk in from working out, hey, what's up? And you're drying yourself off when you open up the, and you're breathing into the refrigerator all hard and you reach in and you're too lazy to get a glass and then you drink it and put it back and you're in a house full of people. It's nasty. I think that instruction needs to be put on adults because mostly kids are having babies now and they haven't got any instruction. They were learning from television too. They're great at video games. My thumbs, I didn't tell you that I can't play video games. My thumbs don't move like this. And I've been trying, I was like, okay, I got to learn this. I know people can play video games like this.
Yeah, that's me.
Right?
I can do that.
My thumbs don't move like yours, man. So it's just the mentality of what you have to reteach people. When to shower, why you're showering. Why you shower when you get up? Because your body is detoxing. Why you sleep. Why do you shower before you go to sleep? Because you don't want to bring the outside, what's on your head and on your face and on your body, still emitting stuff. You want to wash that off so your body has a place to now detox. I explained all of this in the show. My daughter was like, this is funny. I said, it is, but the cool part is I ain't got to compete with anybody.
Right.
I don't have to, it's literally common sense that I learned from somebody born in the 20s that they don't teach in the 20s, in the 2020s.
Well, I actually made a video about what can be done during a stock market crash. I have a Vlad Stocks video series. I put out 9 episodes about 2 years ago, and then I just stopped. But I felt that this was a good time for me to jump back in.
Do you invest in tech companies?
Yes. So,
do you invest in pharmaceutical companies?
No, just because I can only invest in what I'm very familiar with, since I'm not a pharmaceutical guy. I'm a tech guy.
Do you use soap?
Yes.
You should invest.
I mean, you're probably right. I'm not saying there's a lot of great ways to invest. You know, I try to focus on very few companies.
Right.
You know, I don't have a portfolio of like 20 companies. I have like 4.
Well, I'm not going to say the second name of the company, but the first name is Kimberly. And just invest
All right.
in Kimberly. I'm not going to say the rest because they don't pay me, and I don't want everybody jumping on me. But you should invest in the companies that do things that you know, like you said, or things that you use. You invest in Snapple?
No.
Yeah, you should. You should pay yourself to drink that nasty stuff.
Okay.
I'm not saying Snapple is nasty, just that it doesn't have anything in it that's good for you.
Fair enough. And I'm drinking
it tastes
Snapple
great,
right now.
and I like the stories on the top. I stole the idea.
All right, but I made a video about this, and I'm not a financial advisor, and I talk about that in the actual video, saying, you know, this is for entertaining purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research, make your own decisions, and so forth. But what I did say is, look, it's a very scary time when you're looking at your portfolio and you're seeing these massive drops every day. Everything's in the red. But what you have to realize before you start to sell everything is that throughout the history of the stock market, which is well over 100 years, the stock market has recovered from crashes 100% of the time.
Right.
There has never been a situation where there's been a crash and it hasn't recovered. Sometimes it's lasted a few months, sometimes it's lasted like a year and a half, but there's never been a time that you put money into the stock market, not a particular stock, because lots of companies have gone under. I'm talking about like the S&P 500.
Yeah.
There's never been a time where you put money into there, and if you waited long enough, it didn't come back and then go way higher afterwards.
I was watching this thing on Instagram. It's weird because I started watching them because they started bringing up people who were talking about finances. And of course, every time they're explaining it, it seems like, man, these guys are only talking to black people. Well, it's not that they're only talking to black people. It's just, it's the first time. If Beyonce and Jay, 50 Cent, is one of the first times they ever hear about Nas, Rick Ross, oh, they invest their money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Besides, oh, he got a Bentley, or he got a Phantom, or that's the dopest 5,000 chains I've ever seen on a neck. You know what I'm saying? They were talking about equity. And in all the companies I work with, I have equity. I started an insurance company that's just for cannabis. Like literally, if you smoke weed, Vlad, we will insure you. We literally say that because it's health, and it's my way. And we were able to get a bunch of insurance companies to literally back. I still can't get banks to back me, but I can get a bunch of insurance companies that sat around and said, "Hey, this is a good idea." It's also, I was like, we're gonna do long care and final death, right? Yeah. Literally, like I said, invest $120 a year, and guess what? In case you perish, everybody you left that you so loved you is not left with your bill. So So in that, when we're talking about investing, I started looking at things that I was needing, things and bringing in, investing in companies, in things that I use that everybody else can benefit from. I'm not saying, I want to go back to the pharmaceutical. I'm not saying it's called Kimberly-Clark, but I'm not saying you should go in and because also if you go into Procter & Gamble, they make Roundup, which is bad for the earth. So I'm literally picking the ones who make the gowns and the sanitizer and the face mask. Well, they sold the face mask and gown companies to another pharmaceutical. But things that literally more and more people are going to need, I invested in those companies.
Yeah, I just looked up Kimberly-Clark. They are down a lot. This is not a booming company right now.
Right, it's not. But they make it all. They make the hand sanitizer.
I got you.
So guess what's about to happen?
I mean, they're worth $40 billion. So
yeah,
they clearly know what they're doing. That
was a trick from a guy that was in, because I kept saying, I want to do it myself. He goes, you want to day trade? He lives across the street from me.
Yeah. Nah.
I was in there for 1 hour. And he was like, you want to take a break? I said, I quit.
Yeah, I'm not a
what?
trader.
I said, I quit.
Yeah, I'm a buy and hold guy. I'm a buy and hold guy. And I just want to tell people this because everyone wants their own own their own business. Everyone wants to go in business with their friends. Everyone wants to start their own company and so forth. Before you go and get in, and invest in someone else, take a step back and ask yourself a question. Would you rather go into business with Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, who owns the most valuable company in the world? Or would you rather go in business with your friend who you grew up with, who's never started a business before?
Ray and me, we talked about it the whole time.
Right.
Especially when we high.
Not to say that your friend doesn't know what he's doing and could build a successful business. But before you go and invest with your friend, go and invest with Jeff Bezos. Because when you buy one share of Amazon, you are now business partners with Jeff Bezos. Right. You own a piece of Amazon.
Right.
Invest with Jeff first and see how Jeff runs his company. Follow that stock every day or every week. Look at the earnings reports every quarter. See what he's doing. See how he's runs his business, because every quarter he puts out a statement that is to the investors saying how the company's doing and so forth. See how the best people in the world are running their companies. And then after you get a feel for that, then go to your friend and start a business with them, because you'll see if your friend is full of shit or not right away after knowing how the best people do it.
I had an idea. So this idea was this. I was going to get all these people to put up, every person come in with $1,000. And we get a pool and we invest. We have a decision and we invest into this thing, and what the pool is doing, you'll see it grow. They told me it was a Ponzi scheme. Mm-hmm. That I can't gather people to put money into a fund.
Yeah, it gets dicey.
Yeah, I don't understand.
It gets very dicey. You got to go through a lot of regulations and to make sure that it's not a Ponzi scheme, essentially, because there's been so many of them.
Oh, such a great idea.
There's been so many of them. Yeah. Well, they're supposed to potentially have stimulus checks for everybody. It'll be $1,200 per person and $2,400 for married couples, with an additional $500 per child.
If you make less than $75,000.
That's what it is, yeah. But then there's going to be a minimum of everyone's going to get a minimum of $600, which I think is not the greatest of idea, because people like you and I shouldn't be getting $600.
I think one of my growers is going to be like, what, you want an ounce?
Right, exactly. People like you and I who make over a certain amount should just be excluded from this altogether, and they should take that money and give it to people who actually need it, where $600 could keep them going for another month.
Yeah.
You know, for us, it's an amount of money that makes absolutely no difference in our lives.
2 ounces a week.
Yeah. So,
which is a great exchange. The government should just say, we're going to give you Here's 2 ounces of Deuces 22. I will supply it, and no one is going to complain except when they run out.
Exactly. I don't know what this is going to do for the economy. $1,200 per person, $500 per child. I'm sure it's nice. I don't know how. It's
called socialism.
Yeah, pretty much. Because it's not going to stimulate the economy very much.
It's called socialism. And they want to see if we are okay with dealing with socialism.
Yeah.
This is a socialistic act.
Yeah.
The government doing that is what they do in China. Just thought I mentioned.
Or Soviet Union, where I grew up in.
Yeah.
You know, where I lived until I was 5 years old. Not grew up in, but I was 5 when I left. I came from a communist country. I am fully aware of what happens when you have a communist country. The side effect of it. It sounds great in theory, but I remember very clearly.
But Russia was kicking it for a while. For like 10 years, they were on a roll.
Longer than that.
10 years, that was the spot to be in. It was more expensive to buy Louis Vuitton in Moscow than it was in Italy. So, I mean, it was, that's when the money came in. The owner of the Nets.
Yeah.
He ran for president.
Oh, did he?
He ran for president against Putin knowing he was going to lose. But he's a billionaire that did that.
Surprised he's still alive.
To help his friend. He Bloomberg'd the situation.
He Bloomberg'd the situation, yeah. I mean, let me tell you, for everyone that thinks that these protests in Hong Kong are going to accomplish a lot and that China is going to turn democratic, there are more billionaires in the Chinese cabinet than essentially any other group on earth. Like, those people are not letting go of shit.
No.
They have multi-generational wealth to such an extreme that they do not care who is standing in their way. They are not going to let that situation crumble and it turn into free elections where they're all going to get voted out. It's not going to happen.
So let also talk about what's going on in Hong Kong. So in 1999, Hong Kong was the British rule and the British flag was taken down, and any control they had in Hong Kong was reverted back to mainland China.
Right.
Mainland China had already was building or was in the process of finishing what Shanghai known as the free market district. What they want in Hong Kong, one of the things they want is to continue to be ruled the way they were.
The initial riots were because the people that were arrested in Hong Kong, they wanted to extradite them back into mainland China. Mm-hmm. And that was what all the anger was about.
Right.
And I think they ended up stopping that.
Right.
But still, there was still a lot of unrest.
Right. They're changing. I remember I was blessed to speak to the Dalai Lama, and he was explaining what
you spoke to the Dalai Lama?
Yeah, I got.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm lightweight jealous right now.
Yeah, I got an audience with the,
okay,
with Your Holiness.
How was that?
Dude,
tell me what the Dalai Lama was like in person.
Okay, so the Dalai Lama walks in. Well, first, they get you there. You did 2 days before you're going to get to what you're doing, and I think because they're watching you, which is a good thing, watching and see whatever people who are invited to come in. So when you come in, you go to the first level, and there's people there, and they greet you, and they're looking at you, and they stare at you. And there's somebody constantly staring at you, like trying to find what's going on in your energy. They tell you, they have a conversation when Holiness come in, please don't touch them, don't do any rash movements, da-da-da-da-da. You go to the second floor, and there's another 4 people staring there.
Wow.
And they're like this, and they're watching everything you do. They're seeing they had already checked you for everything and making sure the cameras don't have anything. Then the third level, you go in and they said, when he comes in, do not move. If he wants to talk to you, he'll talk to you. You got 15 minutes. So that whole 9 days I was there before was going to be for the 15. And I wasn't losing out my 15 minutes with the Holiness.
Okay.
And so as he walks in, the doors come open and people start bowing. I go, what's up? I swear to you. I go, I'm staring at him, catch my eye, I go, what's up? He goes, and he sits down, he makes everybody sit down, he goes, you. He goes, you have a really nice face. He said, you're a very powerful man. I said, I was about to say the same stuff about you. He starts laughing because I was so nervous, I almost said shit to him. And he said, come here. Now they told us don't move. So I look to my right and my left, and everyone looks at me. I get up and I sit down, and he starts talking, and he's laughing, and he's giggling. And he said, what do you want? I was wearing a shirt, man. And it said, love is love, be good. And he said, what do you want? I said, first, I want to say, when did you know that you were who you were? And second, I want an autograph. And so I held my shirt out, and he wrote it in Tibetan. And he said to us, the reason I'm writing this in Tibetan, and they'll transcribe it for you so you'll know what I wrote, is because the language is dying, because China is destroying every mosque, every temple, and every writing we ever put up. Because they do not want that thought to filter throughout the rest of China.
Yeah, I remember the whole Free Tibet movement was big in like the late 90s. You know, the Beastie Boys had concerts and everything, and it just sort of died down after a while.
Yeah, I stayed in Richard Gere's room at the place right outside the palace.
Nice.
But the funny thing was he was alive, he was funny, he was laughing back and forth. Women said that he complimented him. He wasn't standoffish at all. He wrote over 300 books. This dude, there's a bookstore just with his writings. And he's never gone to school. He had the masters coming to him. And I said, when did you know that you were this? And he said, when did you know? And I said, about you? He goes, no, about you. I was like, wow. I said, I was 6. He said, right. So at 6, 10, 12, you fought it. You didn't do it. You want to do everything else. He said, but then by 18, you said, this is my path. That's exactly what happens. So you graduate high school and you go, I got to do well in college if I'm going to be the pro. And he was the same way. He said, I fought this for a long time. He said, at 18, I decided this was my calling and I was going to do it.
Well, I remember in our Iman Shumpert interview, and this kind of will bring us into our next section, he said that when he was in high school, Kobe came to his school to speak. And he said something that always stayed with him. And Kobe said, put all your eggs in one basket. And if it doesn't work out, make more eggs.
Somebody said to me, well, you want to go to college to get your education so you got something to fall back on. I'm not going back. I'm going to fall on the sword or I'm going to make it. I'm either going to get rich or die trying.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And
the perfect term, get rich or die trying. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not going to play professional basketball. And I was one of those cats. Yeah, I grew to 7 foot. I was blessed. I grew crazy in high school. When my brother's 6'2", one is 6 foot, one is 5'11". You know, the chances, you know, to me getting to 6'11".
Are they lightweight jealous over that? Because like, damn, we came out of the same type of embryo. And
my brother's jealous. Okay. I'm not, at one time I would say, when I was younger, I would say, because they were like, I was better than you in high school. You know what I'm saying? My brother was like, I was a better athlete. I'm a better athlete than you now. And I was like, yeah, but you know, I got a hook shot.
Yeah, I mean, we interviewed Al Harrington.
I love
and
Al.
He went from not playing basketball at all his freshman year. His mother would beat him in basketball, and she wasn't even that good of a player, to going pro after his senior year.
Yeah, I was chubby back in my day. You know what I'm saying? But I had a growth spurt. So when I moved from Orange to Roselle, everybody thought I was just some basketball player because I was 6'4".
Wow.
So they see this 6'4" transfer coming from, you know, from God knows where. And, you know, I walk like a ball player, but I didn't have much game.
It's a special walk with that ball player, right? It's a special
I walk like one, but I ain't had no game. You know what I'm saying? But I figured it out.
Right.
When Al came in the league, I had never, well, almost. He was the second coming of Dow Dawkins, but can shoot. And what I mean by that is Dow Dawkins was 6'11" and had this strength and can run like no other big man and move that body like Shaq. But Al came in and I was like, who's going to guard this mammoth?
He's an anomaly. He's just such a strange character.
What
because,
planet?
You know, you look at a Kobe, his dad played professional basketball. He probably started playing at 1.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's all he did. You know, like he'd sleep with his basketball. And he practiced more. Blah, blah. Like Al just wasn't even playing basketball. He was playing football. He thought he was going to go pro playing football. And then like he had this crazy growth spurt. And he literally went pro right after high school and had a long ass NBA career.
Hey, when they were on Golden State, I was a jealous guy then too. I was like, God, I wish I was on that squad. I always wonder. I tell Steven Jackson this all the time. I said, when I first saw you come in the league, I was like, I'd be a great teammate. And I would see teams and everybody was like, well, who do you think is going to win the championship? I was like, I got to see him in preseason first. No, now. I said, no, I'm not doing anything on paper because it's going to change during All-Star, during right after preseason. And I saw those guys, I kept thinking, man, these dudes. And I knew Nelly was about throw the ball up and let's go. But Al.
Yeah, the beast.
Yeah.
Well, last time you were here, it was right after Kobe's helicopter crash. Shortly afterwards was the Gayle King interview with Lisa Leslie. As someone that was friends with Kobe, when you saw that interview, what did you think? And as someone, let me just preface this as well, as someone who did interviews for a living at one point, which gives you a very unique perspective on this. What did you think about that Gayle King interview?
I was on CBS the day before that interview came out, right? They interviewed me and came on with Gail and them, and then later on Gail. This is where I go with Gail. She mentioned it because for so many other people, it was the elephant in the room. The way she continued on it to when to ask for her to say, well, you wouldn't know if this person would. When she did that, that wasn't a really good choice.
Mm-hmm.
To, sometimes you have to let, like they say in comedy, the silence sometimes is the comedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The spaces.
Yeah.
In singing too. That situation when she asked that question about him being accused and acquitted, is how she should have said it. Accused and acquitted of this. Tell me about that. And then say, well, the reason he was acquitted because the girl wouldn't testify. That's a moot point.
He was acquitted.
He was acquitted.
Yeah.
Period. Whether she testified or not, OJ was acquitted. He didn't testify. So, okay, and that's what it comes back to. It comes back to we feel acquittal is guilt. It's a form of guilt. That's why.
Like if you settle a lawsuit with someone, it
Right.
must mean that you did it.
Exactly.
When in reality, it usually means I didn't do it, but it's going to cost me more to go to court, so I'm just going to pay off this lesser amount and make it go away.
And,
But people, oh, well, you paid, you must have done it. Nah, that's not the case most of the time.
and she asked the question, and like she said, the way it was edited, but this is the
It
one.
was not the way.
I know. This is the one thing I learned on being an interviewer. Can't lie if it's on tape. So, however they edited, those are words that came out, and they didn't Franken cut her words into saying
No,
things.
absolutely not.
Right.
And,
The essence of what she was saying came out loud and clear.
and here's the thing, right?
Wait, I'm friends with Gail. I
I didn't know
sent
this.
a
Okay.
question. I sent her right over to her and said, "Hey, I'm with you. I'm sorry you're going through this." I said that.
You actually supported her on this.
I didn't support her on how it came out because I'm, like I said, I wasn't a Laker fan. I'm a Kobe fan.
Yeah.
I didn't like it, but I supported my friend. Like, damn, you got caught in a question. You got caught in, out of everything you did, you got caught in this one question that could have been, that could have been cut out, but it was what was added to the room. It was what no one else was saying. No one else is bringing up that narrative of the past. So she brought it up as two women speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I can see it and go after it that way. But when black folks are on mass television in America, they're expected not just to be journalists, but also to be guardians of whatever is. So she ran into that.
Well, you and I did the interview about Kobe right after it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And in our interview, you actually touched on the rape case.
Yeah.
And it was fine. There was no backlash because it was done in a very respectful manner.
I said he got past all of his indiscretion.
Yeah.
Because as he said, it was consensual and it was a bad choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Consented with the wrong person.
Right.
And I shouldn't have done that because I'm in this situation.
Exactly.
And he rectified it by rectifying it with his wife.
Exactly.
Right? Not that the girl didn't need to be rectified or the situation, but he shouldn't have been in that situation. And he knew that. And when it ran its course and, like he said, was innocent because he was acquitted of innocence of everything that was said, he then went on, from here, I build here. All your eggs in one basket, make more eggs.
Yeah. And you could touch on these topics without throwing this man under the bus, which is essentially what she did. As an interviewer, she knew exactly what she was doing. There was no
no way out of it.
editing.
Once she started,
she said what
couldn't get
she
out.
said, and she has to stand behind it. She can't blame CBS. She can't blame the editors. She can't blame her boss. she said what she said, and she did it the way she did it. And I think the backlash that she got was appropriate based on what she did.
This is another thing that gets me that I won't do. You will never hear me talk to the audience unless I'm being paid to, or I want to say something to the audience. If the audience that says something, don't. I don't send it to you because you're my friend. People say to me, man, I can't believe you on Vlad crying. He's using you as a puppet. And I was like, you can't believe that I'm a human with emotional feelings about something I was emotional about no matter when it was. I can't believe that you hit me in the head with that. And I was about to send it to you, and I was like, why did I even look at this DM? I didn't let him in, but I take pictures of all of it and to realize because of the internet and because of the way the world is now, this cancel society, cancel culture, they call it, it's you. If you are an entertainer, you should Beyonce the situation. You should Jay-Z the situation, I believe. They're talking about you because you're giving them something to talk about. Don't talk back to them.
Yeah. I mean, I remember seeing this interview. This to me was a life-changing piece that I picked up. You know, Grant Cardone, who's now become a regular guest, we're going to speak to him again next week. Yeah. He did an interview with Jordan Belfort, you know, the Wolf of Wall Street. And they were talking about sales. You know, so here's two sales guys kind of going at it with each other. And they said something that just kind of hit me with a light bulb. They said, when doing sales, when someone responds that they're not interested, that's actually a form of interest. Not interested is a form of interest. Mm-hmm. And that just like, it just blew my head up because I said, whoa, all these people that hit me about various things, whether it's DMs or whatever, when I respond to those people, I am telling them that I'm somewhat interested in continuing that conversation and continuing to put my energy and my time, which is the most important thing that I own, is time. It's more valuable than money. Yeah. It's more valuable than my relationships, my time.
The most important thing.
The most important thing that what?
Most important thing you don't own.
Right.
Time.
Exactly. You don't own it. So the time that I have is so valuable that it just said, okay, moving forward in my life, anybody that I don't want to continue giving my time to, I'm just no longer responding to in any manner.
None.
And it just freed up so much time in my life.
Cats say to me all the time, hey man, they don't somebody said, man, I loved you as a player. And I look at them to see if they're in their 50s, because you're a liar if you're not. You didn't even watch. And you don't love my game, you just love that I hit people and smile. But more people come up to me and say, watch me on the show. I told you, I can tell my Lyft driver in Atlanta boy wanted to have a conversation, and we talked so long I didn't get out the car. I just sat and talked with him. But so many people will say to you, you shouldn't do this on this. He's doing this to this. He's manipulating all of y'all. That means you're watching. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It means you're watching. And that's all that's important to me. Because I don't say anything to degrade anyone or myself.
Yeah.
When I'm on this show, I get to be myself. This is kind of why I like it.
Well, you were at the Kobe Memorial.
Yeah.
Number one, what was the vibe like in that place?
I said to Lisa Leslie, I told her, you handled yourself very, very well. She told me she loved living in Orlando. She was like, yo, night and day, the money you save. See, my bank account is loving living in Orlando. And I said to her, just like Kobe, to get us all to come here, because he wanted us here. She said, only you would think about it that way. I was like, yeah, it was like, I want this. This is the way we're going to get it. This is how we're going to go. Put it on his back. I got to meet Michael Phelps and his wife and his kid. I had to see people I hadn't seen in a long time, you know, like at a funeral. But nobody was trying to bawl. Nobody was trying to, everybody was feeling this Kobe energy. Everybody.
Yeah. So Michael Jordan spoke at Kobe's memorial.
I was so proud.
Yeah. And as he's crying, and he said, I said I wouldn't cry, but here I am, and now there's going to be another Jordan crying meme for the next 6 months because of this, and everyone laughed,
Right.
and it was just such a beautiful moment to crack a joke at a funeral
Yeah.
that didn't disrespect the person who you're talking about, and everyone related to, because everyone's seen the Jordan crying meme,
Right.
and it was just so dope.
It was dope.
As someone that, you know, is the most closely compared person to Jordan, Kobe.
Correct.
And the two of them have gone at it on the court before.
Right.
They were not best friends.
And on the phone. And on the phone. And
Yeah.
the crazy...
Because the two of them, did they ever, I mean, I don't know if you know this or not, but did the two of them ever maintain a relationship at all?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Michael was telling the truth. Kobe will call,
Okay.
right? I told you during the trial stuff, I would get calls and I would stop what I was doing. I'd go outside and I was like, this is really Kobe on the phone. Talking about just ain't nothing about the case. It's, man, did you see such and such show? Or such and such killing it, bro. This guy goes like, you know, talking. Scottie Pippen talked about it. He called Scottie Pippen too. Scottie Pippen was there as well. But to see Michael get up on stage, I said this when he was at the Hall of Fame and he did a speech and everybody thought he was mean and vengeful and they just don't understand his comedy. And to see him speak where he didn't do that a lot before and speak from the heart was a great thing. You know, Michael and I have always had a great relationship, and I always said, man, and Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, I'm like, who basketball? I was like, man, Kobe Bryant. I would say that.
You would tell Michael Jordan that Kobe's better than him.
Yo, 27, he was killing you, dog. He would have gave you 70. You know, just because I'm talking to the greatest.
What would Michael say when you tell him that?
Oh, Sal, there you go with this. You always starting some shit. I was like, I don't know, man. You can't go left. The kid can go left. He can do this. His jump shot is better. You know, just to mess with Michael. You know what I'm saying? I would hate to see them both at 27 years old, but we couldn't have because Kobe would not have become Kobe without a 27-year-old Michael Jordan.
Facts.
So you can't go back in time. Butterfly effect. You go back in time, you destroy everything. But just messing with Michael and saying it and knowing, because you know, like I said, I've learned this business. Minister Farrakhan said it. This media is about sound bites.
Mm-hmm.
So if I give you a soundbite on a sports show, you know, if you get one soundbite on a sports show, it's 5 days of a show.
I mean, VladTV interviews are a bunch of sound bites,
Day
after day after day. You've been on the show enough times,
and I like the way I like the 2 minutes 30 seconds you're doing now.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, I like those because I can get through so many people.
Yep.
And I turn around and I'm on my second cigar, filling my third bowl. Watching 2 hours of your show.
Right.
And I'm like, I didn't even know that guy. Oh, let me check him out.
Yeah.
So yes, but those sound bites, I got on Cowherd and they said, Michael Jordan, the greatest player of all time. So, well, who's your top 5? And I mentioned my 5 and he wasn't in it. The sound bite came, John Salley doesn't put Michael Jordan in his top 5. No, I put him in my 5 when I was watching and wasn't competing that I watched. I talked about how great Jerry West was and Oscar Robertson. Well, you won't see. They don't even play those games anymore. Isaiah's working on NBA TV just to show you more Piston games. It's just, that's another targeted thing, the games that they have and the games that they want to let you see. If you watch Jerry West, you'd be like, this kid is amazing. So I said that. So it's sound bites. I'm a huge Kobe fan, but when I can talk to Michael like that. I can mess with him. He knows that I inside know I would pick him if we had to pick right now and you said, all right, start your team, pick anybody you want. I would say MJ, Kobe. That's exactly how my voice would go and exactly the order it would go in, period.
Well, Shaq spoke as well.
Yeah.
And he told one of his stories, he said, he told Kobe, hey, there's no I in team. And Kobe said, yeah, but there's an M-E in team.
It's an M-E in that mother. The cool part also, when when I watch Big get up there, and I love what Big is doing in the media and what he's doing with his career after. But everybody that spoke, man, I mean, he touched, and you wouldn't even know until you saw that, how he would call a coach of Connecticut, how he would be around Diane Taurasi, and she, you know, she started on Best Man with us. Like, we knew she was the bomb way back. So it's just knowing all these people that he touched, and you know, you're looking at him, you're talking to him, and people are in admiration, and he's asking you questions. Mm-hmm. So I think that was cool that everyone realized he was learning and learning and learning. What it is, what it is, investment company worth $2 billion now.
Oh yeah, no, Shaq is the shit. And Shaq, you promised me an interview. Like, I'm waiting for this interview.
Shaq, come do this.
Come
Shaq
do this,
on
Shaq.
this show.
Come on now.
You need 3 hours. He's gonna give you 3 hours.
Me and
of
Shaq
good
go
shit.
back. Like I did the mixtape where he dissed Kobe back in the day. Like I have the DMs where he's like, "No, I got you. We're gonna do the interview. Just go through me. Don't go through an assistant. I got you." And we
Especially right now. You hit him right now. You hit him right now.
We need it right now, especially with the investment advice that he's going to give.
You should do it at your house. He lives 6 miles from you.
Oh, he lives near Calabasas?
Yeah.
Okay.
He lives 6 miles from you.
Okay. You know, and it's like, it annoys me because he's like, as we're talking about doing the interview, he goes and does the Wall Street Journal. And I'm like, oh, come on, Shaq. Come on. I know you're trying to get this look with the Wall Street Journal, but come on. If you're trying to reach the people who look like you, when you were, you know, like the kids.
You know what he's going to say to that? Would you try to say people that look like me don't read the Wall Street Journal? See, I already shacked it for you.
You shacked it for me? Well, let me tell you something, Shaq. If you want to reach...
If you want to meet...
all the people that your kids associate with...
Right. We're going to get to this because you made me go home and do some research.
Okay.
And I think Little Brother, when we talked about hip-hop, besides Slum Village, which Fonte and Pooh and Ninth Wonder and the other producing crew that came on after Ninth Wonder, when I sit around, I started thinking about it. I did an interview about Jay Dilla with a great director, writer, who wrote with Fonte about this music business. I started listening to old hip hop, and I played something for a new artist. So I'm telling you, I sat back and I started thinking, Little Brother, underrated. We should do the most underrated hip hop artists. Because some people we're going to say is trash and they sell a lot of records. So we're not going to rate them on whether we think they're talented, because everyone got talent. Let's talk about the ones they're not talking about.
I got you.
Yeah, we're going to come to that.
Kobe's parents didn't speak at the memorial. Why do you think that was?
It's time to go. It's time to leave this interview. I think. Oh, yeah, I got to go. The first time I'll walk out of your interview.
You don't have to answer it if you don't want.
No. Maybe they didn't want to. Maybe Jelly Bean and his wife and assisting them, they're not in the spotlight. And maybe they didn't want the targeting of being in the spotlight, as seeing it as a time to say something, because they hadn't said a lot in the past 10, 20 years. So to come up now after he's passed and have something to say, we already know the grief. So Vanessa invited all those people, did it in association with the Lakers. They work with them all the time. Jelly Bean and his wife weren't a part of going to the games and doing all that. I don't think. So I think it's pretty cool that they stayed out of it, so no focus would go to anything. It didn't give them anything to tag.
Yeah, and from what I understand,
that was a really good answer.
Yeah, it's a very good answer. And I mean, from what I understand, he wasn't really speaking to his parents for a very long time. He was estranged. from his parents. I guess they didn't support him marrying Vanessa, and then that never really got repaired.
Yeah.
Then there was a whole situation. They were selling like his memorabilia at one point, or something like that.
But I saw pictures in the memorial pamphlet that everyone received when they got there of Kobe with his nephews and his, pictures with his sisters.
Oh, okay.
That was she all of that was inside of there. I think Vanessa did an unbelievable job. Let me tell you, I don't know. We all may be sad, but not as sad as her.
Oh no, but Vanessa, I mean,
she
losing
lost.
your husband is one thing.
Losing your baby.
Losing your daughter along with your husband at the same time. Your husband is Kobe Bryant, and it really, I mean, yes, you have your own life and your own personality, but so much of it is tied into this giant Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, no one should say anything bad about her.
No,
in
she should.
The next 10 years.
I send
Let her grieve.
all kind of messages, and I hope she gets them. Doesn't have to answer back,
Yeah.
but she did an amazing job.
Well, Tom Brady has officially signed with the Buccaneers. He's no longer wearing Patriots colors.
Now I'm really crying.
Now you're really crying. These are real tears.
These
now?
are real tears. What are you doing, Tom?
The rumor is going to take Antonio Brown with him. That's the rumor. Just a rumor. I'll tell you an interesting Antonio Brown story after we get off camera.
I want everything to happen for Antonio, but I really want him to get past this. I really want him to play football again to show his talent.
Yeah.
The amazing part to me is, one, you go to Florida, because if he could have gone to the Miami Dolphins, he would have been, arrows would have been shot at him and spears when he got up to Boston, up to New England. But I think you play in Florida because it's warm. I think you play in Florida for tax reasons. He become a Florida resident anyway because he has that much money. It's smarter to not pay income tax.
Yeah, well, he also grew up in Florida.
Yeah, but it's smarter. And then you play better when it's warm. And if you're going to play 8 games warm and 4 games, so out of 16, you're guaranteed 12 warm games, good idea at 42 years old.
Wait, he's 42?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a smart thing to do.
Antonio Brown's 31 years old. Oh, no, Tom Brady.
Tom
Brady, sorry.
Tom Brady,
I'm like,
yeah.
wait, yeah.
It's better for Tom Brady.
Okay, yeah, so I messed up. I thought you were talking about Antonio Brown. That's when I said he grew up in Florida.
No.
Tom Brady grew up somewhere else. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm surprised that he didn't end his career with the Patriots. Sort of a weird move from my perspective, but hey, I'm not the greatest quarterback of all time, so I can't make these types of
Joe
decisions.
Montana told him to stay.
Oh, really? Yeah, because Joe Montana, who was considered the greatest quarterback of all time, only has 4 rings.
Right.
Brady got 6.
Right, but he told him, one, don't take your jersey off until they snatch it off of you. I remember that.
Because Montana stayed with the Niners the whole time.
No, he went to Kansas City.
Oh, right.
But he was like, if I were you, I would stay there.
Yeah, you're right. At the very end. Yeah.
So that's what Tom is doing. Just, now Tom gets to play. It was fun playing for championships. Now you get to go down and you get to teach guys how to prepare to win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not playing for money.
Oh, yeah, he's rich as hell.
Yeah, he's getting money, but you're not playing for money.
No, not at all.
You literally are going down to say, can I do this
Again.
without this system?
Yeah, without
Can I-
Belichick.
can I- Can I Kobe this situation? Can I
Kobe this? Yeah.
get rid of the system and then win another championship on my own?
Oh, yeah. If he wins another Super Bowl, no one could say shit.
He
He is going to be the undisputed.
You know how many people get upset that I'm a Patriot fan? Like you have no idea the times. And it was so funny, man. They were playing against, what was that, 2005? We're in, it's 2005. We're in Jacksonville, and they're playing against the Philadelphia Eagles, and Donovan's my man, and T.O. But I'm, Willie McGinnis is my dude. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm talking about. So I got to be honest. I was a Patriot fan, not saying anything for a long time, and then I just straight up was like, I like winnings. I like Patriots. When Tom won the first time, he couldn't believe he won. He was like so elated, and I was like, But I'm a Celtic fan too, so anything New England I like.
Well, and this is close to home for you. The NFL is no longer suspending players for marijuana use.
Thank God. The NBA doesn't have to worry about it because it's suspended. The players are suspended, and let me guarantee you what they're doing during suspension is smoking weed.
They're not testing. They're not drug testing.
The NBA they're gonna be lax on it too. You can't say it's legal in California.
Or they're making it illegal in the sport.
And make it illegal in the sport.
Yeah.
You can't do that. That's another reason why Bernie Sanders, I don't even want to get into this, but Bernie Sanders, if he were the candidate, he was talking about legalization and decriminalization of cannabis, meaning take it off the list and you can sell it at CVS. CVS won't sell a smoking product, but you can now sell it wherever you want.
Wherever you want.
And anywhere you sell alcohol, if you walk in, you can sell cannabis.
I'm all for it, man. I'm glad this is happening. I think Major League Baseball also had a similar rule that they passed recently.
Right.
And NBA
there's already 85% of the guys
smoke weed.
Smoke weed and getting by the test anyway. You're wasting your time.
Oh yeah, no. I remember when we interviewed Al Harrington, right, who has a marijuana company as well.
Right, Viola,
exactly. He owes me some product, by the way. I ran into him at.
You always get product from Deuces 22.
Right. I ran into him at Erewhon. He's like, "Oh, I'm getting you some product." But then I didn't.
He got good product too.
He owes me some product. But he said something interesting. He said, "Nobody's going to show up to a game and play Kevin Durant while they're high."
We can drink, right? How many players show up to the game drunk?
Drunk, yeah.
None, really. And if you do, you have one. But I'm saying you may have one or two bad apples, right?
Right.
But that's life,
right?
You understand what I'm saying? But they don't tarnish the game,
right?
You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna show up to the game drunk because I'm about to play against Kevin Durant tonight. I'm gonna play drunk again. He about to tear my ass up sober.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's the same thing with cannabis. It's like, why would a player show up to the game high?
Yeah.
Like we're professionals. We know it's a time and place for everything. After the game, I'm gonna go blow it down. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna sit and play video games and heal.
Right.
I would.
Leave it to John Salley
to
throw a monkey wrench.
Hey, let me tell you something. You already know 6'11" gonna get 30. He gonna get 30 shots. See, Steven Jackson would agree with me. He gonna get 30 shots. Period. He's going to get 30 shots. He's going to hit 30 on you. Mm-hmm. So Kevin Durant is almost guaranteed 30. He's taking 30 shots. He's going to hit at least 50% of his shots. Mm-hmm. And you already got a wall up because during practice, they've been telling you, and you've been watching film on everything this motherfucker can do. Everything. Well, guess what? He can do everything. You might as well be relaxed. You might as well open your brain to each scenario. You might as well have a little bit of paranoia as opposed to coming in there with ego. Shoot, Kevin Durant gonna be a little bit high.
I remember when I did one of our interviews, Chuck D from Public Enemy reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you put me back in contact with John? Because that's my man. We just haven't talked in a while." So I linked you guys up.
Yes.
You guys start talking again. I interviewed Chuck way back in the day, like 10 years ago or something like that. But I interviewed Flavor Flav recently, last year, and Chuck recently announced that Flavor Flav was kicked out of the group
again.
Yeah.
And this is not the first time.
I know it's not the first time, and I remember me and Chuck were texting each other after the Flav interview, and some of the stuff that Flav said was not the most, he called Chuck a genius, but he also said that he was suing him for some other stuff and so forth. I texted Flav and I said, personally, as a fan, I don't think there is a Public Enemy without Flavor Flav. As dominant as Chuck is as a vocalist, that chemistry without Flav is not there for Public Enemy.
But maybe that chemistry is 10 times the chemistry of the Tribe Called Quest. And after Michael Rappaport did the documentary, you can see that Ice Cube at times was not at the same place Ali was, and not at the same place, Fife was. And
Ice Cube?
you know what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
So, I mean Q-Tip.
Q-Tip.
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
There we go.
I said Ice T?
You said Ice Cube.
Yeah, Q-Tip. May at those times wanting to make sure the product he wanted to put out. Being upset that he didn't get a Grammy. Like I watched him get upset about these things.
Yeah.
Flavor is, a happy, fun, go lucky, do his thing type dude.
Yeah.
So you have this guy here, and then you have Public Enemy trying to be, Chuck and those trying to be this hard stand against whatever. And Flav is the connection to the audience.
Yeah.
He's the connection. He's the one with the clock. If
Yeah.
you see Flav, you know who Flav is.
Yeah.
Like Flav.
Chuck might walk past you and you may not notice him, but Flav,
Right.
everyone in the room is looking at the guy with the clock and the horns on his head.
But Chuck said, hey, out of 100% of the raps, you hear me 90% of the time. So
This is true.
But I hope they work that out somehow, because Flav is just, one, he got bigger than the group.
Absolutely.
Television show made him bigger. His
Yeah.
look made him bigger. His responses made him bigger. As big as, it's like Ed McMahon and Johnny Carson.
Mm-hmm.
Ed McMahon became as big as Johnny Carson.
I hope they work it out. I love
Yeah,
Public Enemy, one of my all-time favorite groups. I know both these guys.
I know. I wonder Chuck gonna hit me after he sees this.
Final question before I let you go. You would touch on the Lord Jamar thing.
Yeah.
And Lord Jamar and I kind of created this talking point, about 7-8 years ago, about white people being guests in the House of Hip Hop. He pointed out that Eminem is a guest in the House of Hip Hop. On Eminem's last 2 albums, he lashed out at Jamar by name. Basically defended him. I'm not a guest, and I put all these people on, and you're a guest, and all this type of stuff. But then in an interview with Crooked Eye recently, when Crooked, who was one of the few interviewers that actually was brave enough to hit Eminem with an uncomfortable question like, hey, what do you think about people saying, are you a guest in the House of Hip Hop? And Eminem said, I'm absolutely a guest. And it kind of it closed this whole interesting chapter that I'm involved with as well.
Shit starter, Vlad.
Yeah, pretty much. As a lifetime hip hop fan, and are you an Eminem fan?
Eminem fan through and through.
Brand Nubian fan? Yeah. So, what did you think about this whole back and forth about white people being guests in the House of Hip Hop?
I thought it was bullshit, to be honest.
Okay. Explain.
Third Base,
Okay.
Beastie Boys.
Okay.
I'm going to sound racist naming every white rapper, but dog, hip hop is a culture, and I know where it came from. I was there. I was 9 years old. I was there. I was reading Charlemagne the God book, Black Privilege, and it speaks on how hip hop was the guiding force for Charlemagne to get out of bullshit. Like, there's a hip hop verse for everything that you do, which is true. And you follow it the wrong way, yeah, you're gonna be. I had this young cat that I was mentoring that was wearing blue all the time and wasn't even part of the clique. And then when they got around to him, he was living it from what he heard in the radio. And that ain't, you know, it was their life. They're telling you their life. They're not telling you to emulate it, but everybody was emulating it. The best thing about hip hop is it got you to speak out, and you could literally have your style. You could literally move in your style. Yeah, it started off just with black folks, but if you speak about unity and you speak about togetherness and you speak about consciousness, if you're conscious, then you don't need your eyes. You're conscious, you close your eyes and you deal with the consciousness outside of you. The flow of Eminem, undeniable.
Agreed.
Royce, once again, underrated rappers. Royce the 5'9".
Agreed.
And I lived in Detroit. So I had rappers. I had Paul Rosenberg was one of my first rappers, who was his manager. And it was Paul Bunyan at that time.
Wait. Let's stop for a second. And I do know that Paul Rosenberg started out as a rapper.
Right.
His name was Paul Bunyan.
Paul Bunyan. He was right with me at Hoops Radio, BAM Records.
You signed Paul Rosenberg,
Paul Rosenberg.
as a rapper
As a rapper.
before Eminem showed up.
Right. He was in, I just asked him one day, because he's walking around Detroit with an axe on his hip. And he was true to who he was. He's Paul Bunyan.
He had an actual axe.
Axe.
It's not a slang for a gun or anything.
Chopping
no.
motherfucker. Damn. Anyway.
Okay.
And I wasn't saying, I thought he can rhyme. But he was in law school. I was like, oh, you're in law school? Yeah. You need to become a lawyer. Like, do that and manage these, like, do what you're doing. He still hits me up on one time if he wants me to talk to somebody, do something. He hooked me up with Coachella, the right people, when I was at Coachella, because I had bogus tickets. Great guy. And it was, I guess, great advice. I know Julie Bass, who married his Jeff Bass, who was first producer.
The Bass Brothers. Yeah.
So
who produced Eminem before Dr. Dre and everyone. Yeah.
Right. Who got the Academy Award. I always tell people that. His name is on the Academy Award, his writers and music behind it. Marshall was unbelievable. The things he was rapping. My friend Hope had an early tape of his, and it was demented and crazy, and I was like, but his flow is dope, and his connections are amazing. So I'm a big Eminem fan. People didn't understand what he did at the Academy Awards, and it's just that people aren't ready for their rap stars to be 50. We can see Gladys Knight in her 70s, 75 years, 80 years old. We can see Smokey Robinson perform at 80 years old, or Gladys Knight at 75. And sorry, Gladys. We can see that and that's great. And we see our musical artists, but in hip hop, they don't want you on stage after a certain age. Jay-Z just did an album with Jay Electronica, which is the only thing I've been listening to for the past week.
Good album.
Yeah,
I like it.
I think he did justice to it. But as far as being a guest, he may be. You can say he is white, but he transcended with his ability.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree to disagree with you because me and Eminem are the same age. I don't rap at all, but I am in the hip hop industry.
Yeah,
I'm one of the loudest voices, in fact, in the hip hop industry. And I consider myself a guest, and I don't think that's a negative connotation. I think being a guest, being accepted as a guest, is a big accomplishment. I know that, I grew up in the suburbs. I grew up in San Mateo, California. Then I went to Berkeley and Oakland afterwards when I went to school. I didn't grow up as a hip hop fan, but not in the hip hop culture necessarily. He grew up in Detroit. He grew up in Detroit.
Detroit is the hip hop culture. It is rich and poor. And when you go below 8 Mile, there's really no rich. So to grow up in that mentality, it's so funny when you work in Detroit, is why I say it's different. Not really different. White is white and black is black, and you're still going to run into it. But my wife is half Polish, half black. Grew up not black enough, not white enough. But what they did grow up is being Detroiters, living in that mentality of go to work, come home, go out Friday night, go to church on Sunday. and literally it looks like, to this day, certain parts still look like 1968 during the riots. So growing up with that kind of mentality was entirely different.
Yes, and I understand what you're saying.
Kid Rock was a guest in hip hop.
He started as a rapper also.
He was a guest.
Yeah. But as a white kid growing up in America, you listen to hip hop, and yes, there are the Beastie Boys and there's Third Base and there's a few scattered white groups out there, but you're sitting there idolizing all the black artists 99% of the time.
Right.
You're listening to the thing that they created, the things that they put together from nothing. And in an art form that most people said only had a 2 to 3 year shelf life. And you're listening to them, absorbing what they're doing, and then later on you go and create your own version of it. But it's coming from the soil of these people. And they happen to accept you and allow you to put out this music and to collaborate with you and to go to your shows and buy your albums. You should just be grateful. And that's what Eminem pretty much said in this interview. He said, I'm absolutely a guest.
Right. He's a guest.
And he doesn't consider himself a king of hip hop or whatever else. He feels, and he basically mimicked everything that I've been saying the whole time also.
But
so
you have to realize, I've been watching you for a long time before I was blessed enough to be on the show.
Thank you.
And I love Lord Jamar. He'll tell you that. These cats will tell you, if it was between going to an NBA Finals or going to SOB, I'd go to SOB. People will tell you that in a second.
Okay, love it.
Like, I know what's going to happen there. I don't know what's going to happen on this stage.
Yeah.
So I loved him. I sat around. Remember, I signed Slum Village because I knew that Jay Dilla was the future of hip hop. They just told me in jazz now, because he was able to fuse hip hop and jazz differently than everybody else, they will say in jazz, put some Jay Dilla on that. Literally meaning put a different funk on it or a different beat that will make it a hip hop beat, but with the jazz. It's his creation. So knowing that all this talent came out of Detroit, I looked at Eminem as, okay, he was white, but boy, he can flow. And then that was the best thing about hip hop, that I got my man Lyric right now online. He got red hair and a beard and he's getting it done. Logic is black, but
Half black, yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But just watching people come up with that creativity and putting it down. Remember, I told you I love Chino XL, and they were saying Mexicans can't do this or Spanish people.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. I feel you. And not to take away from their skill level or their artistry, I thought Mac Miller was dope.
Mac Miller was dope.
I love the Beastie Boys. I like Third Base. Like, I'm a fan of a lot of white rappers. Like, don't think that I'm just against what
You're
they're doing.
racist, man. You're racist against white rappers.
I'm not racist against white rappers.
You prejudice.
Like I said.
You know, there's a difference between being racist and prejudice.
Okay.
Racist is thinking your race is above it. Prejudice is prejudging somebody.
Okay. But all I'm saying is that when it really comes to the core of the art form, it is still a black art form.
It is.
And I respect it as so. And as a guest, I feel like I can contribute to the art form in my own way. And I document the art form.
Right.
I don't think anyone in the history of hip hop has interviewed as many legends as I have. Period. When you look at my catalog, I think it's untouchable in terms of legends.
I told you I thought it was brilliant when you stopped sitting on the couch. When you started just being the voice.
Yeah.
You turned in, because all I ever wanted to do was be Johnny Carson. I wanted to do late night talk shows. So when I left 36 years old, that's what I was doing. I was going to get my Johnny Carson shot.
Yeah.
And listening to you do it like this, and you moving from the couch to sitting here gives a different thing, because you don't try to be the interview. I watch a lot of people who try to be the interview. And it's like, why am I even here?
Yeah, no, I want all the focus to be on that person.
Good.
And I try to guide the interview in certain ways to get a certain story out.
Right.
And
You also asked, once again, I can't believe I'm doing this to Charlamagne. Because, I read a lot. That's a thing I do is I will say to my family, hey, I'm going to read. That means I don't want to hear it.
Leave me alone.
Right? Put my glasses on, I get a comfortable spot. I get my Padron cigar, Diplomatico Anniversario. And I'm sitting there with some scotch and water, and I can read for hours until they come and say, hey, it's time to eat, or are you going to drive me? Are you going to move out of the spot? Until then. So I'm reading. I even posted on Instagram. I was like, these are 2 great books to start with, because in this conversation of wanting to be an interview, Charlamagne said, I don't bite my tongue. But he also asked questions that make you, get you angry. And he said he's, what is the best thing? What is it called? Motivational speaker. I'm a demotivational speaker. He said, I'm the first to tell you, you know what? Forget your dreams. Do with this, do with that. He said, because you need that person. My mother was that person to me. Johnny, you can't do that. No, Johnny, no one does that. I'm going to show you. So you need that person. Either they're telling you something because they feel like it, or they're telling you something to motivate you. Either way, what they say shouldn't matter that much to you. You should do what you want to do, but it also tells you to find your passion. And so when I listened to your interviews, like when I first got here, believe it or not, first time I interviewed, I was on guard, but you couldn't tell, because I was like, he's going to come into something, he's going to get into it. And so when you got into the Shaq question about money, I was like, oh, I know this was coming. I was like, oh, I'm prepared for it, because I tell truth, my truth and the truth, which are the same.
Yeah. I feel you. John Salley, always a pleasure. Happy that your family is safe and healthy right now. Mm-hmm. Let's everyone flatten the curve.
Yeah.
Is what they're saying, which means
wash your hands with hot water.
Wash your hands with hot water, practice social distancing, stay at home whenever you can. Let's make sure that the hospitals aren't overloaded.
Yes.
This flu shall pass. And we're going to get back to our lives soon.
Go on my website, buy some black soap.
There you go. Peace.